Welcome back. So we're going to be working on this letter J cap trim for our mirror, and the cap trim goes on top of our letter K top trim, and we're going to go over how this goes on. This was the piece that we had went ahead and put our Roman Ogi route on. This one needs a little bit more sanding, but we're going to go ahead and show you guys how to lay this out and maybe even get it put on here. Depends on how we make out the video here. So the first thing that we want to do on this particular project is we want to find a center. A lot of times projects revolve around being symmetrical. We've got about 22 3/4. Half of that's going to be 11 3/8. And what we would do is transfer this over our top. We're never going to see that. Transfer it over our back. The only time we would see that is when we have it off the wall. So these are perfectly fine to have on here. And the next thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go ahead and we're going to want to mark out this screw and this screw. Because when we go ahead and put this on, we definitely don't want to screw down through these. A lot of times the preparation is what distinguishes a good project from a perfect project. The next thing we're going to do is find the center of this particular board. I believe this is 24 inches. We're going to confirm that. It is. Half of 24 is 12. So we're going to draw a center line. And I did this one light because I do want to sand that off eventually, even though we probably never see it. And down the back is plenty fine. I'm going to put a C for center and a C for center. And if we put these here, if this is centered, if this center line is on this center line, this should overhang the same amount. Now I'm not measuring, but that's about 1/4, and it's about the same over here. So we're going to go ahead right now, and we're going to put some clamps on this. This particular board has got a bow to it where it's kind of all over town. So I'm going to hold this thing right in our center. I'm going to have you come over here and snug that up a little bit, just a little bit. All right, hold on. So I want to make sure that we're flush right here. Flush on our backside. Go ahead and snug that up just a little bit more. That's good. So we're flush over here, and we are still on our center line over here. So I'm going to do the same thing this side. Now we're going to get snug, then we pull it flush. Snug it up our last little bit. All right, so we've got this laid out. So now we're going to pick where we want to put our screws. We definitely don't want to put one in the center, so we could do one of two things. Thing number one, we could just take our square, put it right on that line, draw a line over to the side. We could also measure a 1/2 inch over, whatever, it doesn't matter. We'll use a square in this instant. Now, we also know that over here, we definitely don't want to put a screw in this area. So what we'll do right here is we will come over, we'll come over about a 1/2 inch. We're going to mark this right here. We'll do the same thing over here. Come over about a 1/2 inch. And you might say, well, how do you know that it's a 1/2 inch? We could just go ahead and measure it just to confirm. And right there, I am at smidgen over a 1/2 inch. So we're good. I'm going to take my square. Something I just noticed here, we came off a flush a smidgen, so we're going to fix that. It's easier to fix it now than it is later on. Let's go ahead and flush. We'll take our square, and we want it over this line right here. So we draw a line like that. We'll come down here, we'll do the same thing. And now we're going to pick where we want to put those screws down through. Our bottom piece happens to measure 1 3/8. Our top piece happens to measure 2 inches. I know that on this bottom piece of trim over here, letter K, we came in 5/8 of an inch off the back. This one up here, we're going to add 1/4 of an inch, and we're going to come in from the back 7/8 of an inch. So we mark our 7/8 here, we come down here, going to mark 7/8, come over here, going to mark 7/8. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this cap trim piece. We're going to go over to our drill press and we're going to drill it with the same size pilot drill that we used for our bottom, and we're also going to countersink these as well. So we're going to do that, and then we'll come back and show you guys how to put it on. Just went ahead and drilled these, and they're countersunk. We're going to use the 1 1/4 screws. Want to make sure they fit just below the surface, which they do. One thing we're going to do before we do put this on is we're going to grab a little piece of sandpaper, and we're just going to carefully sand off these edges, or these drill holes, in case there's any blowout. We're then going to go ahead, we're on the back side once again, center mark. We're going to take our clamps. All right, you hold this. Hold it. Let's see. There's center line marked up. All right. That's good. Come down here, we'll do the same thing. Get this close. Flush it up. Make sure we're still on our center line. Flush, flush. We're using an 1 1/4 screw. We're going to use the same drill with the same nail. Make sure it's at 1 1/4 deep, which it is. We would then come over here and drill our holes. Would you like to get this one over here for me? I'll help you hold this down. Get that. Okay, you hold that side for me. And we're definitely going to go ahead and put our screws in this. Even though we don't have any glue down yet, we always put it together dry to make sure it's okay. So go in. 2 or 3 clicks should be plenty fine. Why don't you go ahead and put this one here in. Press down a little bit. Oh yeah, here we go. And right there. Good. We'll go ahead and take these off. We'll take a look-see gander, see what it looks like. Beautiful. Because the back side doesn't matter, but we definitely want it to be flush on the back. We'll take a look what it looks like in the front. Oh yeah, it's a beauty right there. Nice. So all we're going to have to do is take this apart by taking our screws off. We'll make sure it's reclamped back down. After we put our glue on it, we'll clamp it back down. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to put our 3 screws back in. And any spot that we might have a little bit of a gap or something like that, we might leave a clamp on it overnight until that glue dries. That's it in a nutshell. Looks very nice too.